let's make something delicious. For these little cheddar meatloaves, it's a very specific way that you have to start mixing it at first. So listen carefully because it's kind of specific instructions at first. In here we have a half a cup of quick oats, not the rolled oats, you want quick oats. And to this, you are going to add 3/4 of a cup of milk. Now you want to do it in this order so that the oats can absorb the milk and start to plump up. And to this we are going to add about 1.25 to 1.5 cups of grated sharp cheddar cheese. You can use sharp or mild cheddar. I grate it myself, and I grate it on the large side of the box grater. If you buy it pre-grated, I would suggest buying the large shreds because the small shreds, the finely shredded, has the tendency to just kind of melt into the meatloaf and you never know it's there because you can't even taste it or see it. To this we are going to add about 3/4 of a teaspoon to a teaspoon of salt. I don't measure. And a few good grinds of black pepper. That's up to your heart's desire. Basically, season with your heart. And I throw in just a little bit of granulated garlic. Again, season with your heart. Now, I'm also going to add 1 large egg. And next, we're going to add a small onion. I am using a red onion because that's what we grew here. But I don't like large chunks of onion in meatloaf or anything like this because they have a tendency to stay a little crunchy sometimes, even after they're baked. So your best way to do it is to grate the onion in. I just used the large side of my box grater and just grate the onion straight into the bowl. And that way you also get all the onion juice as well. And the onion juice even helps to tenderize your meat because it's an acid. So acid always helps to tenderize meat. And that little tip you can use with any kind of meatloaf. Now you want to take your spoon and stir this all together, break up that egg yolk, and stir everything into that milk and oats. And see, as you can see, the oats have already started to plump up. Now to this we are going to add 1 pound of ground beef. I use 80/20, or in this case this is 85/15 because this is grass-fed, and grass-fed usually comes at 85/15. But you can use any type you want, but I find that anything with less fat makes them too dry. Anything with more fat makes them too greasy. So that's the reason I tend to stay around the 85/15 or 80/20 range. Now you want to mix that all up. Because of the milk, you don't always have to use your hands with this. Sometimes I will choose to anyways, but this looks like it's going to mix up really nicely just with a spoon. Now let me teach you a little trick, because one of the worst things is to get a meatloaf or little meatloaves like this out of the oven, be ready to sink your teeth into something wonderful, and it be under seasoned. But you can't test it because you can't stand here and eat raw meat. So let me teach you a little trick. Make a little patty, just a tiny little patty, and either fry this up in a skillet or put it in the microwave for about 30 seconds. And then you can taste it and see if it's seasoned well enough. And if not, then you just add more seasoning. Now, because I did that, I could tell that it needed a little bit more salt. Just a couple of pinches more salt. And a little bit more pepper. And if I wouldn't have done that, then I would have never known, and I would have just got them out of the oven and been disappointed because they didn't taste like I wanted them to. That's always a trick you can use with any meatloaf or meatballs or anything like that, because you can't eat the raw meat to taste to see if you've got enough seasoning. And at this point, it's up to you how big or small you make them. Normally I do anywhere from 6 to 8 mini meatloaves. I think today I will do 6. So I'm going to flatten my meat out in my bowl, and I'm going to divide it into 6 wedges with my hand. That way you're sure that each one is as close to even as they can be. Now you're going to shape them into a nice little meatloaf. Nice little meatloaf shape. Isn't it pretty, baby? Actually, it's really not right now. It looks like raw meat. Now you want to put these into a baking dish of your choosing. I'm using a glass baking dish. I've sprayed it with a little bit of cooking spray just so that they don't stick. You don't have to spray it a lot because it is beef. It is going to squirt out a lot of fat, so you don't really have to worry about being really picky about how much you spray it. So I'm going to finish making these, and then I'll show you what we do for the topping. For the topping, we have 2/3 cup of ketchup, 1.5 teaspoons of mustard, and about 1/2 cup of light brown sugar. Now you want to mix this all together. Make sure you break up any lumps that are in the brown sugar, because you know brown sugar can be pretty lumpy. Now we're going to divide this evenly between our meatloaves, and we're just going to spoon it on top. And while you are doing all of this, make sure you have your oven preheated to 350 degrees. Now these will go into your 350 degree preheated oven until the juices run clear. I'll show you what it looks like when they're done. These beautiful little cheddar meatloaves are out of the oven now. They're baked to perfection in about 40 to 45 minutes, depending on your oven and the size that you chose to make your mini meatloaves. These are absolutely delicious, juicy and cheesy and wonderful every time. I serve mine up with some mashed potatoes and some peas, but you can serve them up with whatever you like. And come back next time to Angela K's Kitchen, where we take you from gourmet to everyday and everything in between. God bless.
Now look at this beautiful bite right here. So good. An outstanding take on meatloaf. If you're just tired of a regular loaf of meat, right? Then make it a little different. Spice it up a little bit for these individual serving size meatloaves. A little cheddar, a little cheese in there, you know. It's beautiful flavor. Angela's got, it's a great topping she puts on it. Full of flavor and so juicy and delicious. Angela K can really cook, y'all.